The Green Bay Packers last season had a year where they surprised a lot of people with how well they played overall. The Packers offense made history with the highest number of catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns in a season by first and second year players on a single team. Jordan Love threw 32 touchdown passes, ranking second in the entire NFL. Additionally, Green Bay became the youngest team to win a playoff game since the 1970 NFL-AFL merger. They had an average age of 25 years and 214 days. This Packers team is very young and has already shown they are ready to compete for a Super Bowl with Jordan Love as quarterback. And with the team they have, the Packers will be a real threat in the NFC. The Packers added a ton of depth to this roster as well, making it even better. A huge signing was adding Xavier McKinney to this team. One of the biggest issues with the Packers defense under former defensive coordinator Joe Barry was missed assignments and coverage on the back end. In 2023, Green Bay ranked 22nd in points per drive, 25th in scoring percentage, 20th in yards per play, and 25th in third down percentage. To address this, Gutekunst signed Xavier McKinney, the market's top safety available in free agency. Pro Football Focus rated him as the NFL's best safety in coverage with a 91.2 coverage grade after he recorded 3 interceptions and allowed no passing touchdowns last season. McKinney's 41.4 passer rating as the primary defender in coverage was the 7th best in the league among the 146 players with at least 50 passes thrown their way last season. The Packers forced a tight window throw on only 12.4% of opponents' pass attempts in 2023. That was the 3rd lowest grade in the NFL. Among safeties with at least 20 passes thrown their way, McKinney led the NFL with a 30.8% tight window throw percentage. McKinney is also a dependable tackler with a 5.7% missed tackle rate, the 4th best among the 74 safeties who played at least 500 snaps in 2023. He was one of only 2 players in the NFL to play every defensive snap this past season. His durability and high-level performance justify his contract. McKinney moves from the struggling Giants to a rising Packers team that surprised many by reaching the divisional round of the playoffs in 2023. While he has yet to earn any postseason accolades, his future looks promising, especially after achieving his highest overall defensive grade in 2023. At 24, McKinney has been a key player for the Giants defense since being selected in the 2nd round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Over his 4 seasons in New York, McKinney recorded 9 interceptions, 27 pass defenses, 279 tackles, and 1.5 sacks in 49 games. Adding a talent like Xavier is a huge boost for this defense as he immediately goes into this unit and helps make it better. Last season, he was a top player in his position, and he will now be able to showcase his high-level talent for a Packers team that is very young and hungry to make it to the Super Bowl. Last season, no one expected them to make a run in the playoffs how they did, upsetting the Cowboys and then losing a heartbreaking way by a missed field goal that would later haunt them. This Packers team has shown they can make a deep playoff run since they are so young, and we don't usually see this right away from a lot of young, talented teams. This Packers team has shown that they can be the youngest team in the league, but still be one of the best. This roster plays really good together as a unit led by Jordan Love at quarterback. They can keep improving this roster by adding some depth, but this team won't experience major losses to this roster for a while as the main core pieces are locked in now for some time. The Packers also signed veteran running back Josh Jacobs, who has found a ton of success in the league. The Packers replaced Aaron Jones with Josh Jacobs, betting that the 26-year-old running back will be healthier than Jones, who turns 30 in December. Jacobs has consistently produced, recording at least 1,000 yards from scrimmage in each of his first 5 seasons and surpassing 1,000 rushing yards in 3 of those seasons. Notably, Jacobs led the league in rushing yards and yards from scrimmage just 2 years ago. Jacobs played the last season under the franchise tag, missing all offseason practices and the first month of training camp. This delay did impact his performance, and the Raiders struggled under coach Josh McDaniels. By the time McDaniels was fired, 8 weeks of the season had already passed. Jacobs regained his form under new head coach Antonio Pierce, who called him the heartbeat of the team. Jacobs rushed for 98 yards in Pierce's debut and 116 yards the following week. A few weeks later, he ran for 110 yards with a 5.5 yard average against the Chiefs, with all but 11 of those yards coming after contact. However, Jacobs missed the final 4 games of the season due to a quad injury, finishing with less than half of his 2022 rushing total. His missed tackle count also dropped significantly from a league-high 90 to 28. Jacobs has big shoes to fill with the Packers. Despite missing 6 games due to injury, Jones outperformed Jacobs in key stats such as yards per carry, carry and yards after contact per carry. Jones also had 6 more runs of 10+ yards, even with 90 fewer carries. Jacobs is aware of the player he is replacing, having trained at the same facility in Miami in previous off seasons. It will be fascinating to compare Jones and Jacobs throughout the season. Jones had a tough year due to injuries, but turned things around once he got healthy, also playing a crucial role in carrying the team into the playoffs despite Jordan Love's excellent performance down the stretch. Aaron Jones' stretch of 127 rushing yards against Carolina, 120 against Minnesota, 111 against Chicago, 118 with 3 touchdowns against Dallas, and 108 against San Francisco might be the greatest individual run by any running back in Packers history. In fact, no other player in Packers history has rushed over 100 yards in 5 consecutive games. Jacobs, who is nearly 4 years younger than Jones, will benefit from Love in a top-tier passing attack. The Packers didn't just use free agency to acquire talent that will help them next year. They made very smart selections in the draft that will help develop into key pieces for this team. Draft picks Jordan Morgan, Javon Bullard, and Marshawn Lloyd all have the potential to contribute significantly at positions of need. The team's priorities this offseason were clear. They needed to address the depth issues along the offensive line. The Packers had numerous draft picks and overall did quite well. They potentially secured a franchise left tackle in Jordan Morgan at the end of the first round. They also drafted 3 safeties and now may have a tough, versatile duo with Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney. Marshawn Lloyd is a solid addition at running back as they evaluate Josh Jacobs for at least a season. Jordan Morgan was a very solid selection for Green Bay. This is a good spot for Morgan. Although he needs to build more strength for the NFL, he is a classic, pure pass blocking left tackle who will always be valued in the league. Adapting to NFL pass rushers and the increased speed and strength of the game will be a learning curve for him, but selecting him at the end of the first round is a solid bet for the Packers. Morgan played every position on the offensive line except center during OTAs and minicamp. If veteran Zach Tom's torn pectoral isn't fully healed, Morgan will compete with Andre Dillard for the starting right tackle spot. If Tom is ready, Morgan could challenge Sean Ryan at right guard. He spent more time at these positions than at left tackle, where he was a 3-year starter at Arizona. Coach Matt LaFleur mentioned that Morgan has all the tools physically. However, the mental challenge of switching positions has been significant for him. Despite opportunities to trade back in the draft, general manager Brian Gutekunst said selecting Morgan was an easy decision due to his talent, athleticism, and character. The Packers could have chosen Iowa defensive back Cooper DeJean or Oklahoma offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. However, Gutekunst opted for Morgan, a 3-year starting left tackle, consistent with the Packers' historical performance for drafting offensive tackles and determining their best fit in the NFL. In 2022, Morgan allowed only 1 sack in 10 games before missing the final 2 games with a torn ACL. He impressively earned first-team All-Pac-12 honors in 2023, with Pro Football Focus crediting him to just 2 sacks and 14 total pressures. The Packers had to make some moves this offseason to prepare them for a year next year where they want to make it back to the playoffs but be able to get the job done and go all the way. Last year, they proved they have the talent on the roster to do so when you add in guys like Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney to an already talented roster, it makes them even scarier. The Packers did the right moves in the draft as well to add depth to the offensive line that needs help protecting Jordan Love and continue to improve as a group throughout the season. If you made it this far and you haven't already, make sure you go down below and you subscribe and you turn on the post notifications so you never miss a Packers video or any video at all. Comment down below what you're looking forward to most for next season. Leave a like as well. I do greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one.